the New Zealand Amateur Championships, I see here in 1990, they were actually hosted on at Paraparaumu Beach, so on your home course. Now there's a picture in our history book, and I'm not sure if it was from 1990, but you're pictured there with a plate for the runners up. Silver, it must have been.
Yes, I'm just looking back on my notes too. I think Jan Story and I won the New Zealand Foursomes that year.
1994.
So was that 94?
It might have been then, and I think you might have won it twice.
Yeah, I think you might be right. But yeah, when the amateur it might have been the second time it was at Paraparaumu. We won the foursomes there. Yeah. The first one was too long ago. I can't really remember.
Fantastic. Your course record at Paraparaumu Beach, you held the record there at one stage at 69, which is a pretty incredible score. That would have been probably 4 under around the track.
Yeah, I think it might have been 5 under then.
Okay.
I think that when I started playing there, it was par 74 for the ladies. So I'm not sure which. I think might have been the 12th hole they dropped back to a par 4.
Correct.
After that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but it was nice. It was fun growing up having 6 par 5s.
Yeah.
On a golf course. Yeah.
You won the New Zealand Under-21 Championship. So this is all in a very short space of time, I guess. You've gone through a really rich vein of form between 1990, 1993, 94, where you've won a bunch of New Zealand things and you've featured quite heavily. The New Zealand Under-21 Championships, where would that have been?
That was at Nelson Golf Club.
Okay.
So yeah, that's again similar course to Paraparaumu, I guess. It's always appealed to me. I love Nelson Golf Club. It's changed a lot over the years, where they've done a similar thing to Paraparaumu and removed a lot of trees over the time. But yeah, that year I won the stroke play. There's always back then they had a stroke play portion, and then you qualify for the match play. So I was the stroke play champion and the match play champion at Nelson. And then last year going back there to Nelson playing the in a slightly different competition, and the ladies and the women's masters, I should say, being the leading individual on that course again, which was quite a thrill in the stroke play event.
Right. Okay. And it's so you are going through this rich vein, and we just touched on it there before about the thought perhaps of turning professional, and you said earlier why that didn't appeal to you with the travel, etc. But was it correct that you then took a training apprenticeship with Kurt in the shop?
Not with Kurt. I shifted to Palmerston North to live. So when I was in Palmerston North, which must have been, I'm just looking at my notes, sorry, in 1995, I started a traineeship there. I decided I still wanted golf to be my career, because that was the skills I had and the strengths I had, but I didn't want to play for money. I enjoyed playing the game for the game. But like Lance Phelps, I guess, in that regard, I enjoy the game. But the game to me, it didn't appeal to me to turn it into a career option and make money from the game. But there was other aspects to golf that you could. So I decided to do a traineeship to coach. But a year in, things changed, and I moved to Auckland and couldn't transfer my traineeship at the time to where I shifted to in Auckland. So I appealed to New Zealand Golf, applied to them to get my amateur status back. So through 94, 95, I did 95, I did the traineeship, and then in 96 I got my amateur status back. When I was living in Auckland, and then played for Auckland for a year. So that was interesting.
Okay. And so you've got your amateur status back in a very proud moment, I guess, for Paraparaumu Beach when they hosted the Queen's Surrogate Cup here in 1999, and Lisa Aldridge, or you may have been Lisa Herbert at that time, was selected back into the New Zealand fold. And what was that like coming back to your home course, or the course where you grew up at, and to compete in that? And it just through reading it, and I want you to put some words around that, as it looked like a really exciting finish.
Oh, it was, yeah. And I think having found out that the Queen Surrogate was going to be at Paraparaumu, that inspired me to work hard to try and make that team again to play. And yeah, I think I would say that's probably been the most special time in my career, was playing the Queen Surrogate at Paraparaumu, again in front of that home crowd. Lots of special people, especially up on the balcony playing the 18th hole, watching you playing, and it's such a perfect amphitheatre for a finishing golf hole. And yes, and then we were tied with, I'm going to get the name, I'm not sure, I can't remember if it was Taiwan or Chinese Taipei.
Chinese Taipei, yeah.
Chinese Taipei, to be even with them after the end of the tournament and have a playoff hole, and then to be the one to birdie the playoff hole to help us win the cup was something I'll never forget. And
you yourself were leading amateur, leading individual for that week, which must have been special as well. We talked about nerves earlier in 1990 when you shot 88 or something. I think you said in your first round, and here you are in a playoff, like you say, that wonderful finishing hole with the natural amphitheatre and in front of a lot of family and friends. How did you cope with nerves? Was nerves ever a big deal with you, or I mean, I know myself as a very bad amateur, I get nervous teeing off on the first tee just in front of the group behind us. So how do you deal with that?
No, I think that particular tournament, I remember being quite calm. I think it was such a well-run event as well, and that we had plenty of time once we found out that there was going to be a playoff to make our way back to the 18th tee, and for Renee, Tina and myself to just have some quiet time together and talk through what we had achieved and what we were about to go into, and just support each other, I guess, and say, hey, we've got this far. Then what happens now is really irrelevant. We've just have to hit it, go find it, hit it again, really, and yeah, we felt like there was just a really good sense of calm. I think we felt that we'd achieved what we wanted to, and anything else from there was just an added bonus. But yeah, it's nice that it did go our way. But in terms of nerves, I guess it's putting. When it comes down to it, it's the putting that really the nerves do kick in that little bit more, when your hands are twitching, and it's never easy. Yeah.
So you're up in Auckland now, and it looks like your golf's got a little bit quieter. When did golf, cease, and why, I guess, did it cease to become the be all and end all?
Becoming a parent. Okay. I think just marriage and children, and you do realise that I think it just puts life into perspective when you become a parent, and you just do realise, you grow up fairly quickly and do realise that it's don't sweat the small stuff, and there's a lot more important things in the world. And although I still continue to play golf on a less regular basis, I guess my whole outlook to golf changed quite dramatically, and you just you relish the time that you can then go out and play. So those times you just are determined to just enjoy yourself, and not look at it as such a competitive sport, and just be out there without kids screaming "mum, mum" at you, and enjoy the peace and quiet, really.